That was funny. Yeah, whatever you were
Yeah.
thinking of, just put a pin. No, wait.
Right.
So welcome to the live stream of our 6th time of just spontaneously going live and having a chat about some cool stuff. And
this
is
one's
Stacey.
really spontaneous.
This is really spontaneous because we hadn't planned on this at all. There's not even like a we're going to go live in half an hour. We're just here. So welcome if you are joining us. I am also going to share this to your profile, Stacey. So anybody, any of your friends want to join us? We've got someone live. Hello. I don't know if that's you. You know when it says one, it doesn't always show me who. So so I don't know if that one is you because we're on it together. So who knows?
Yeah, no, it's
welcome,
not me.
Stacey, for joining us live.
Yeah.
There we go. So that's shared to your profile too. Oh, and now there's 2. So say hi if you are live. That would be really, really great. We're going to talk about the fine line between practical and spiritual intervention, because you and I were chatting just literally a moment ago. We were just about to get into something, and I said to you, no, let's do this live, because I think that this would be quite juicy for people. So there's no plan. And there's no plan. So bear with us. It might get messy, and messy can be really exciting, really fun. Because we were talking about how often you'll go to a session or something, and it's very much in the spiritual stuff, isn't it? Especially if you go to a healing session. So you're working with your higher self, and you're working with inner childs, and you're working with angels, and there isn't often, it's very much separated from the world of, say, just give me some actionable, logical stuff to do. What are my tangible things right now? And I feel sometimes that the healing world, the aim is just to make you feel better, which is lovely. Obviously, that's lovely.
It is lovely.
Obviously, that's amazing. And I think there is a synergy that can happen with making you feel better, but also allowing you to action things in your life for your actual circumstances to be better.
Yes, most definitely. And that's what I like about people who do multiple modalities within the spiritual realm of things. And some modalities may have, like, you're only supposed to use ours in our sessions. Okay, cool. But some of the most fantastic things happen when you're just flowing with it. And part of that is really actionable steps. Some people need that first part, second part, third part. And here's 3 suggestions. Where do you want to go with this? And that is very useful, especially when I've had sessions with people that they're just way into spiritual, and that's awesome. Like doing soulmate reads and angel reads and all of that is really fun. We've even done one. It was really wonderful. But the other part of that, the other end of that brings it all into life, is the practical steps.
Yeah. Very much so. So recently, I don't know if I think you noticed, I was just told, just do like 4 hours where people can ask questions, and the answer, because I just literally had an open tap of channeling from various sources. And what was so interesting was actually separating where those sources were coming from. Hi, Joyce. Hi, Sandra. We're separating where those messages were coming from. And because when you tap in, depending on where you tap in from, you get different, you know this from you and creator planes. There are various exercises that we do of where the messages are coming from, where the, you know, the intuitive hits are coming through. And so I was receiving these messages, and it was so obvious when they were coming from more guide space versus source space. And the practicality, more of the practical, closer to earth plane answers that come from, say, a spirit guide team, because then you've got, you know, guides that have been human. Source is spirit. It's not, you know, you haven't had like creator embodied into a one human form. We all are part.
Yeah. And even, not to trail off on this, but it's even when you have traditional religion saying this person is this person is a prophet, they are still a part of all that is. So
Exactly. And the lovely thing is that whenever you are choosing to hear from a person channeling or somebody who's giving you these messages, they're all, regardless of how clear they think they are, it's always going through their human experience. So you get,
right.
And that's important to know, because it's twofold. A, you get the benefit of wisdom, of experience that they've picked up, which is going to come through, and just how they express things, how they articulate it. But secondly, also to know to run it through your own human and not just blindly follow. So even when we say, you know, actionable suggested steps, always running it through your own self. Does that sit right with me? Is it, is there resistance that can be dealt with? Because yes, it's the perfect message, but I've got some kind of like block to that, which you can work on, as we know. Or is it simply like, you know, pony up, come on, let's go. This is just taking you out of a rut, a comfort zone that you've been in for a while. It is totally, you know, you can feel it inside that it's the right thing, but there's just a bit of apprehension or fear. And sometimes it's just a matter of just taking the next, we just did the next smallest inspired step.
Yeah, and just like Abraham Hicks says, you know, it could be just moving furniture.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, totally. Yeah, it can be very small. It doesn't have to be like huge, immense changes. It can be as small as, I mean, I literally, yesterday I was saying to you, I had a pretty full-on day, and along with my psychologist, who's actually amazing, I'm very open to all spiritual stuff as well, but you know, really, really talented and experienced. And she just reminded me that what was happening is I didn't have an intermediary transition period between sessions and going into the chaos of my 3 children and husband's kitchen. So, you know, the door on the other side of my room where I do my sessions just leads straight into the kitchen, where, you know, there's chaos, there's madness. So, you know, well, while I've been immersed in this beautiful calm and creator and source, I will open the door and my body will physically start to shake, just walking out into that space, because it's such a stark contrast. You know, it's just like a well of peace, and then and it's not bad, it's just much different. And she just said to me,
it's like going from 0 to 100 in
yes,
like 2 seconds.
like that. Yeah. So she just reminded me that I hadn't created that transition space, you know, whether it is an actual space, which we are going to create. And she just, very simple thing. She said, well, you know, what would you normally have in the space? And I said to her, well, you know, usually I would finish session and then I would have, this is back in my old place, I would have gone out into my garden, there's no people, or I would have sat in my larger ante room, like the waiting space, just sat on a sofa, switched on the TV even, you know, just to slowly take that speed up, you know, so that by the time I go back into real life, which is for me is a busy family life, I'm prepared. My body is ready. I still have all my resources. I still have all, you know, the creative stuff, but I'm operating at a slightly different speed.
Yeah.
And that's small. So for me now, right now, how it looks until we move into our new house, where I will have all those facilities beautifully, but the transition is to book out after sessions, half an hour to an hour. And she said at the moment, because it's quite drastic and things are a bit mad,
Yeah,
book out.
it's about that close together. Is that what it is?
Yes. So she said, no, book out an hour where literally after you've done whatever you've done, go, sit, chill, and incorporate it as part of your working time, so that you don't have this shock going on constantly.
Yeah.
So you know, it's quite small. I don't actually have to do very much to do that. I don't have to like buy things. I don't have to get things. I just literally create time.
Yeah, create time to go outside.
Yeah, exactly. Create time to go outside, create time to sit, to, I don't want to call it decompress because it's not decompressing. It's almost like inflating. Inflate back. I see, like, you know, like those things you have outside shops where the air suddenly goes up and you're just like, oh, I'm back in the world.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, you know, to use that in a more practical situation where perhaps you don't do spiritual things for you know, for some people, somebody gave me this advice: take off the work shirt after work.
Yes, change. Yeah. So my kids always, when they come home from school, uniforms are off. You're not at school anymore. It's that similar thing. Take the uniform off.
Yeah. And then and sometimes you might have to go to or want to go to, you know, for me sometimes it's a coffee shop, you know.
Yeah, it's whatever works for you. So some people, it works for them to actually go and be around people in a different environment. For other people, it is, for most people, I would always suggest something in nature, because I mean that there's nothing like being in nature for releasing anything that doesn't feel good. But it could be take time on your own, do something for you, go for a walk, you know.
Yeah.
So Joyce
And
is saying, create time to just be still. Yes, exactly.
yeah, I was just gonna say, if anyone is watching the replay here live, what do you do after work or after you've dealt with a situation that is, I want to say, energetically different, because it's not always, you know, positive, negative. It's just different flows.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I mean,
any transition, any really dramatic transition, and it can be both positive dramatic transitions. I know when I've done like periods of time when I've launched my book, the 2 books, so I had a period of 3-4 days that was so intense launch wise, and then afterwards it was just like a full-on drop. It was a lovely drop because it was quite relieving, but equally just the change was quite drastic. So what I did after I experienced that in the first one, in the second one, I blocked out time on the launch day where there's no more I can do on that. It's there, it's out there. So now it's just, so I booked out time to go and have a nice massage, some relaxing stuff. And then a couple of days after, some nice things after, so that it was a slower retransition from, in that case, it was high energy to a lower energy, movement-y wise, as opposed to from session to chaos, which is from more stillness to like,
yeah, right. And
yeah.
I find that in my day job as well, is like sometimes it's moment by moment. So right now I work at a motion picture rental house, and sometimes we can have a lull which can last for half a day sometimes, and then all of a sudden somebody will come in and be like, I want everything right now.
Yeah.
We got people running around pulling things off the shelves and putting them all in packages, and you know, it's chaotic. So there needs to be some gap time. Normally what I do is I just breathe. I walk a lot. That's my sort of processing time. On a usual day, I do 8,000 to 10,000 steps, you know, but a lot of that is like I'm just walking to process what has happened the previous day.
Yeah.
But if you're sitting there going 1,000 miles an hour and not stopping, you've got, you know, pretty soon it compounds. And like, as funny as this might sound, it might sound like intellectually constipated. Like your mind is just like, there's too many things in there.
Yeah. And you mentioned breathe, which is the simplest thing. If you haven't got the ability to, you know, if you're in that space and you're, like you said, you know, it's all there, the simplest thing you can do is just literally a moment for a couple of breaths. And there are breath patterns that you can do for like 3 minutes that will bring the body back into a homeostasis space and drop the nervous system. So there are a couple of breathing patterns that I know that I use that will physically do that, and scientifically proven to physically do that. It's not like, you know, just we think it does. It's actually been tested to do that. So if anyone is interested, you can say yes in here and I will go through them. But I want to just read some of these comments because we've got some lovely ideas here. So first of all, Sandra said, yes, the first thing she always does when she gets home from work, she's instinctively changed clothes. And that's the other thing, is sometimes there are things that you're doing that are instinctive, that you've not thought, oh, I need a transition. You've just done those, because the transition from a work to a professional space, you know, work to home or whatever, it does require us to be slightly different. You know, there is a difference. It doesn't mean you're doing anything like untoward. It's just different role, different set of information that comes through. And then Joyce said, just be alone outside or get lost in a movie. So, well, all three of us, I think, would say that we love to get lost in movies. That's, I'm going to see Mission Impossible on the weekend. Can't wait.
That's cool.
And Sandra also said she sings when she drives and car karaoke. And that's one of my pet things to do, which is to just, I do it in the car, but I've had to stop going full out in the car because I'm too much in the energy of it. And then I'm not always focused. I've gotten lost doing that, but that really works. But I actually go home and I have a karaoke at home, and I'll literally switch switch it on and sing full blast for like 20 minutes. And that really, it dissipates so much energy. And it also allows you to process emotions in a really, really cool way, depending on what songs you choose to sing. So if you're sort of feeling a little bit low, you can don't be afraid of using emotionally activating songs, because it will move that energy to process it without you having to do therapy on it,
Right,
It's
exactly.
amazing.
And sometimes, in my experience, sometimes those songs themselves can be a little, I don't want to say negative, but a little like low vibration or whatever, but like listen to the song for the moment. You're getting
Yes,
something out,
exactly. Yeah.
and then
Then
move
move
up
it.
from there.
Yes, exactly. So you have to sort of, it's kind of like with NLP, NLP, it's a type of one of the modalities that both of us do. We call it pace and lead. So, if you're meeting a person and you're up here and they're down here, there's no point you're talking to them from up here. They can't hear you. You kind of got to start where they are and move them through.
Yeah.
Because then they can come with you. Just think about it this way. Say you're talking to a friend and you're having a rough time, and you're describing that, and they ignore that completely and just start talking to you and say, no, but you've got to just be positive, and you very lovely, but they're not in that space right now. They can't hear you.
Yeah.
They cannot hear that.
Through that.
Yeah, exactly. And how irritating is that?
Yeah,
so
it's really irritating.
So it's really important to calibrate for yourself. So, I just said about other people, but calibrate for yourself. If you're having a tough time, and let's just give the karaoke analogy there, and you put on like, say, Pharrell, I'm happy, and you don't really feel that right now.
Yeah.
Work up to it.
Yeah.
Maybe start with something a little bit slower, a little bit more in the space where you be, not full out, depression. I want to like go into that dark hole, but maybe just slightly outside of the hole and move up. And I actually used to have a playlist.
One of my best friends says baby steps.
Yes, baby steps. Baby steps. Yeah, it's and I feel that's so important for people to be okay with that, because we're now the self-development and personal development industry has bled into pretty much every area now. And you'll find iterations of that in very just practical workspaces. I mean, I've seen, inspirational messages in Kmart and things like that. It has bled everywhere. So that knowing of calibration of self and how to move yourself through is probably one of the most important things you can do for yourself.
Yeah. And how you work in the world is, again, like we've talked about in our previous conversations, knowing oneself is very important. Knowing how you tick is really wonderful. And if you need any help with that, I recommend Shirley's recordings of all of her fabulous stuff, because that is a fantastic way to figure out, okay, what makes your body work, what makes your mind work, and then what do we enjoy? So
yeah. So yeah, that's the line, isn't it? And allowing yourself to have both, to have the practical and the spiritual. Recently, I've seen a lot. It comes up, when themes come up, you see it everywhere. It's like, I'm looking for a new car, I see that car everywhere. And there is a a lot of that discussion of having a foot in both worlds. And that's something which, I mean, thankfully I've had that's just me. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, I love all this magic and I love all this stuff, and I'm still working on physical wooden deck. I'm not working on air.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I'm referencing theta healing, if anyone
Yeah,
here has read any of the books, is important to be grounded and connected to the seventh plane, creator of all that is, at all times.
yeah, all the time.
And just whenever you're not connected to the earth, it's a possibility that you could gain weight to stay on earth. That's one thing that she talks about. Clear cancer, delete that for anyone who wants that. But honestly, it's the synergy between the two, connected via the earth and connected via the spiritual aspects of things. One thing is, when somebody's going through something and they want some advice, sometimes that can be a really good discussion on either end of the spectrum. I'm like, one of my favorite things to do is make somebody's, whatever they're dealing with, into something really funny.
Yeah, yes, you're really good at that. You're really cool at that.
Yeah, so it's that's my thing, because
Yeah,
spend a lot of time here on earth, 80 something years, 90 something years.
yeah,
You got to have fun with it.
yeah,
So all of this is play, and um one of the greatest work we've ever done is to get in touch with that lost inner child at certain points. I've seen that a lot, where people are like, I have to be the adult. Well, no, not all the time.
no. Yeah, no, it's very cool, and I love theta healing for that, actually, because it really does bring everything together. And I wanted to add to that is our conscious mind, in order to understand this, has created constructs. But we are all that is, because the earth is all that is. The matter that we are is all that is. But that's not something that our conscious mind can quite grasp sometimes. So often the concepts that we create are just to allow us to understand that. But if we hold that with lightness, more can come in. So
Yeah, more of it can come in. It's just like any of the prosperity work, from Bob Proctor and
amazing people.
amazing people. All these people have aspects of a whole. The law of attraction is not just the law of attraction. It's part of a larger,
there's loads of universal laws
larger,
that contribute.
puzzle of laws.
Actually, on that, I did an article, it's on LinkedIn, with all of the main laws that contribute alongside the law of attraction. So if anyone's interested, if you go onto my LinkedIn profile and go to my articles, you'll find that the universal laws that contribute to The Secret. It's actually quite cool.
Yeah, and going back to, we've got to meet everybody where they are.
Yes.
So, for example, some people start with The Secret and then they get into, going to therapy or going to hypnosis or going to wherever they start out. Or, just having the awareness of, this could be and this is, whatever you're creating in your life. It's really powerful when you realize it takes seconds to create something. one of my favorite things is two of my favorite things that I'm good at manifesting is free coffee and free rides.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's pretty cool to
Yeah.
just like, hey, I like this today, and it pops up somehow.
And I would like anyone who's watching this now, or even on the replay later on, just yourself notice what is something that you're really good at manifesting, because everyone has something. Everybody has something. I personally, I'm really good at manifesting people when I need them. So when there is a need, person just turns up.
Yeah.
And it's exactly the right person. And I wasn't aware of that. I was not aware of that till one of my really good friends actually pointed it out, because we were in a course together, and said, do you realize that whenever you actually require something, a person turns up, literally like walks up, because we were in a physical space, we're in an event. So a person just walks up to you and gives you exactly what you need at that moment. So you notice, like, over the 4 days, that's happened multiple times. And I was like, really? And then I started to realize that, yes, actually. And then you trust it as well, because it's not, because sometimes if that's those sort of things would happen and you don't actually, you're not you're not understanding that you're doing that manifesting, there can be a sense of distrust. So just allowing that distrust to disappear, having discernment always, tuning in, and just being open.
I just had this vision flash through my head. It's a little like, where people let go of balloons for celebrations and things like that. That's kind of what it is.
Yeah.
You basically write what you want on the balloon and you just let it go.
Yeah. Beautiful.
And that's key. The let go is key. Because if you're holding on to it, it can't come to you as easy.
Yes. Yeah, it's true. If you hold on really tight, what you've basically done is you've actually contracted all your energy, and all of the openness is just shut down.
Yeah.
And there's no space for it to come in anymore.
Yeah. And that's making space. And I was actually watching some secret stuff the past few days.
Yeah.
Money goes where it's welcome. Joy comes where it's welcome. I'm adding this in.
Yeah.
And then happiness comes where it is welcome. So you can have all of the things in the world and not be happy if you won't let happiness come in. You have to let it land and be okay.
Yeah, that's so true. So true. So Joyce actually wanted to know what the healing technique was. So shall I do that?
Sure.
Yeah, you probably know it. So you're literally just going to sit, you're going to breathe, take a big breath in through your nose, and then at the top of the breath, an extra push. So you breathe in and then breathe out through the mouth slowly. You can do that about 5 times. Breathe in. Sharp breath in at the top. And if you're on live, try it with us. Breathe in. Sharp breath in at the top. Breathe in. Sharp breath in at the top. So you might feel a little bit of lightheadedness, but I mean, I don't know about for you, but everything has just stilled. And that was only what, 4 breaths?
Yeah.
So that's very, very small. And another really, really great thing to be able to do, say you're feeling you're coming out of balance, say in a conversation, maybe you're getting overexcited, maybe anger's kicking in or that kind of thing. Something that's really like so super simple, takes a bit of practice, but so super simple and actually doesn't break the interaction, is literally to drop and slow your voice. Because you find when you get overexcited, you start talking fast and it goes higher and higher and higher, and you start being a bit manic. So literally just slow and drop the tone just down. That's a signal to the system of it's okay, we're calm. And that can be done without anyone really noticing. You know, hang on a second, I'm just going to breathe. Which might be weird for some people in an interaction. Wait, 4 breaths now. But you can just begin by dropping and slowing your voice. And pause as well, pausing. It's all part of it. Pause, drop and slow.
Yeah, and it's very important to breathe. It's so important to breathe, and I feel that society in some ways have taught us not to breathe.
Yeah.
And not to slow down, and always to be working, and always to be a certain way.
Yeah. So, okay, I have a question. Do you have, say, like a couple of like really pragmatic tips to help people to get the best of both practical and spiritual?
Just ask for it. Really, you already know everything that you're trying to answer for yourself.
Beautiful.
I mean, an aspect of self, meaning you could be fearful of like something, a decision you want to make. You'd be like, oh no, I'll push that off, or oh no, I'll do this or that. But asking for it and paying attention to the immediate answer that pops up.
Yeah.
Because the answer immediately after that is like, oh, but I can't do that.
Yes.
Or something of that nature. And just pay attention to that first answer and take steps in doing that, whatever that is. And sometimes you might get something easy enough to be like, oh, you need to drink more water, or, you need to go for a walk, do it. And that's one of my teachers always said, the listen and do command. It's like you listen to the guidance and then you do, because often guidance is tied to that very moment.
Yeah, that's very much what, especially for those who I'm going to just interject with some human design. If you're a splenic authority, then that the listen and do in the moment is that hit of intuition, is that guidance from above. And regardless of whether you are that authority or not, everybody has that energy. You know, we are the complete energetic map. We just have consistencies or inconsistencies in different spaces. So everyone has access to that. And it's super, super important when that comes in. And like you said, straight after, all the excuses will come in.
Yeah.
And that is the mind distracting you because it's not comfortable.
Yeah. And the other thing is, I found less static when I'm in a different situation than that spiritual like oneness situation, I've found it really cool to get back in the body.
Yeah.
And that's not easy for some people. When I first started this whole thing, it wasn't easy for me. But it's like, send your entire awareness to your hands.
Yeah.
Or a body part of your choosing, really. I mean, as Eckhart Tolle says, doing the dishes a meditative process.
Yes. I've been watching actually a bit of his stuff recently, more because I read stuff years ago, but I've sort of gone back to it, and there's some lovely information there, reminders, and that's one of them.
Yeah. And that was what really got me back into the body, with having a connection to it, where I don't think society really teaches you how to do that.
No. Society is moving you. Society is saying, come on, next thing. You can't stop. You must move. You must do something. Even even if you are in the spiritual space, there's always the next course. There's always the next channeling. There's always the next learning, the next piece of wisdom. There's very rarely you'll find people who will just say to you, just be. Just be. Nothing to do, nothing to learn.
Yeah. And I just dropped a link to Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now, in the chat.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. So that was sort of the thing where another thing that I would like to say would be is get yourself out of the situation too. That may not be physically out of the situation, but be the observer of the situation. Because like, this person's mad at me and we're mad at each other, we're having this situation. Watch it from the sidelines.
Yeah, and that's something that can take some practice.
That definitely takes some practice.
But that's also what having sessions will help with, because whoever it is you choose to have sessions with, whatever it is, wherever it is you choose to go, but that's the sort of thing when we're saying about the fine line between practical and spiritual intervention. If you go to the right person who has that variety of toolkit, they'll be able to take you through these things.
Yeah. And especially when it is for really good things and really complex situations, it's good to have somebody there alongside you, walking you through the situation from an outside perspective.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. So we have gone, we're doing well. We've gone like 45 minutes or so. Are there any last thoughts you'd like to share?
I think I'm wonderful. I do have some downloads though.
Oh, I'd love downloads. Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay. Would everyone here like to know what it feels like to get out of their own way, and that is possible in the highest and best way?
Yes.
And is sort of something that stacks on top of that is, can we discreate all the illusions around you of your previous selves that have been like through any traumas or any disassociations with that, through all the mist and all this stuff? Can we just lift and release that?
Yes.
And would you like to know how to embody oneself in the totality of now in the highest and best way.
Yes.
And we can be whole, healthy, and complete, free from, without any anxiety, depression, manic stress situations in the highest and best way.
Yes.
Anything you'd like to add to that?
No, those downloads were beautiful. Just to remind people, maybe you've not come across the healing downloads or anything like that, and you're hearing someone saying things and someone else going yes. In that practice, we believe that everybody has free agency, that you don't just get given things without actually giving permission to receive them. So my saying yes, and I would suggest that you do the same, is actually giving that permission to receive that information and to integrate it into your whole being. Otherwise, there may be parts of you that are going, no, and it bounces off. But doing that wholehearted yes will allow that to come in and for it to be received. So just in case you're wondering. And also when Stacey or myself, whenever we do those downloads, we're channeling from Creator of all that is. We're bringing in as much of the highest perspective and bringing in the opportunity of that energy for you. So without any judgment or extra perspectives on that. So that's all. I would like to remind everybody, since we're on this morning, that this evening I start a free series of clearings, which are the Liberate and Elevate. So if you fancy a bit of energy clearing, releasing from the weight of the world, collective consciousness, or energies that are wafting around that may be affecting you, thoughts that are wafting around that may be affecting you, I'll be doing that 15 minutes per day for 5 days. So very short, super powerful. Definitely not a substitute for any kind of healing or therapy, but definitely an assistance. Please do join me. It's on my profile. And Stacey, do you have anything coming up for anybody?
Not yet. I'd like to just plug my website in the comments. I will post a link if you'd like to learn more about me, and I'm always here on Facebook if you'd like to connect with me.
Yeah.
And I always watch your replays. I always watch those replays, and because you do it while I'm sleeping.
Oh, well, maybe not. I don't know. I've actually changed the time, so I don't know if it might still be while you're sleeping to your time zone. I believe it's early morning EST, but I don't know what it is for your time zone. Because I was going to be doing it at 4:30 my time, which would be middle of the night for you guys. But I realized I do have a lot of US people around, so I've done it at a place that potentially everybody can join. So it's middle of the day for UK, Europe. It's evening for Australian and Asia, and it should be early morning-ish for US. But it is only 15 minutes. Replay is fine. It's all good. It's all good. The benefit of being live is that you get to obviously put in the comments, and I can clear for you, like, I do that personal clear through. So and also if you comment afterwards on the replay, then that also goes into the next ones. So the more interaction and participation, the more potent those clearings get, because then I'm channeling through everybody, which is awesome. It's really cool. So yeah, super fun. So that's all from us, and thank you very much for listening. I'm going to, where am I? We're going to end the live stream. I'll see you this evening, those of you coming. Say bye. And I'm going to stop the recording too.